Hello everyone and welcome to our first ever Earth Stories Film Festival. I'd like to thank you all for joining us in person and on the live stream. Our live stream has been set up to minimise our carbon footprint today and allow filmmakers worldwide to attend our festival. Your support means the world to us and we're really excited to get started with our first ever film screening and award ceremony. But first, I'd like to introduce Christian Spellman-Miller, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Education and Student Engagement, and Nick Seeger, Head of School of Humanities for Keele University. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So, very, very warm welcome to you all today, celebrating Earth Day, as I was reminded when I looked at my calendar today on my phone, with a wonderful festival, a new film festival, and I'm really proud to be able to open with a few words of welcome and really thanks to you for your support for this event. So my name's Chris Spellman-Miller and I'm a member of the senior team at Keele University, and it's my real great pleasure to be here today and really to experience this first initiative. We're extremely proud of this as a new project, and personally very, very excited about seeing the outcome today and being with the team to enjoy the festival. So as you know, Earth Stories is a student-led initiative providing a platform for students and young filmmakers from across the world to showcase their filmmaking talents, presenting new and inspirational stories addressing the climate crisis and pathways for sustainable futures through connections between human and nature. So this speaks directly to so many of our interests at Keele, and this makes it particularly timely and exciting for us to be promoting this activity. So for three reasons really. Firstly, sustainability, the theme of sustainability. Clearly the urgency and importance of addressing this major global challenge for us, of course, is at the forefront of all of our work and is driven by much of what we do at Keele. Secondly, around creativity. For us, the opportunity to use innovative ways to get across messages, to communicate ideas powerfully and to have impact. And this is a fantastic example of the way in which filmmakers are enabling that. And then thirdly, the fact that this is student-led. This is really important for us because we value very much the opportunities for students to own knowledge and to gain the experience through actually doing, to put across and learn, gain skills through this kind of activity. So for many reasons, this is an absolutely fantastic initiative for us to be promoting at Keele. I'm very pleased to also be able to say that this has been financed from the alumni money, the university's alumni fund through the Keele Key Fund. So we're really proud and happy to support this initiative. So just before I pass on to my colleague, Professor Nick Seeger, who's going to say a little bit more about the festival, I just wanted to congratulate all of those who've participated in the festival in whatever capacity, either from the creative side, also from the technical perspectives, being judges, direction and organisation around the festival. And we hope that you found this very valuable, a valuable opportunity to really to develop your own skills and knowledge for the future, but also that you've enjoyed it as well. So very much looking forward to this afternoon. I'm going to pass over to Nick now, who's going to give a little bit more detail about the scope and the scale of this project.
Thank you very much, Chris. And as Chris says, my name is Nick Seeger. I'm the Head of School in Humanities at Keele University, and I'm incredibly proud to be giving you a little bit of detail about the scope, the extent of Earth Stories and the people who are behind it. So the festival has had incredible success worldwide, thanks to the organisational skills of 45 students and 7 members of staff who were involved in the creation and production of the festival. In total, we received 2,578 submissions from 120 countries, and the films submitted came in genres spanning documentary, animation, action, romance, horror, and much more. The films were marked by the panel on how relevant their message was to Earth Stories, their originality and creativity, their plot, pacing and structure, their characterization, cinematography, sound quality, music score, entertainment, dialogue, and finally, their call to action on this crucial and timely topic. So I just want to say thank you to the core team who have made this event possible. Assistant Director and Technical Assistant Charlie Beale, technicians Sam Galantini and Dan Harvey, social media and marketing team Amy Glassbrook and Joe O'Boyle. I also want to thank the Earth Stories Committee for their incredible hard work and commitment to watching and scoring each film, all 2,578. So thanks to Powys Bisht for submitting a funding request from, to the Key Fund, the Alumni Fund at Keele, which was supported by his colleague in film, Neil Archer. Thanks also to the senior judging panel, Emily, Natasha, Alana, Luke, Powys, and environmental filmmakers Ed Barsley, Amit Bose, and Siddharth Subramanian. And thanks also to the co-founders of Earth Stories, which is James McAteer and the director who we've heard from already, Alia Gardner. So without further ado, I'm going to pass back over and just really welcome everyone, both here in Hanley and also those watching on the live stream, to this fantastic first event.
So thank you, Chris and Nick, for that wonderful opening for us. We're really looking forward to showing this year's films and announcing our award winners. But before we do, I'd firstly like to thank James McAteer for all your help and guidance during founding this film festival. I've learnt a lot while directing this festival, and I've been amazed by the response from filmmakers worldwide. These stories that we've seen have been really inspiring, and we hope you find them inspiring as well. But before we show you some of them, I'd like to draw your attention to some of the QR codes located around the venue. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to a list of important web pages. One of them is our digitised e-magazine. This includes an introduction from all of our team members, as well as an overview of some of the films being screened today. Please have a look at this during the intermission if you have not already. And our e-magazine and QR code system has been designed specifically to minimise our carbon footprint. The second page you'll need from here is Mentimeter. This is where you'll be able to vote for the Audience Award later on. When you go to Mentimeter, you'll be asked to enter a passcode, and we'll provide this for you after the initial 6 screenings. Once you have the passcode, you can simply put it in and vote for the film that you've enjoyed the most. If you have any trouble, please ask one of our ushers for help. Can our ushers give us a quick wave? There you are. So I'll now hand over to our chairs of the senior judging panel, Emily Stevenson and Natasha Jury. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Natasha and welcome again to Earth Stories. Over the past couple of weeks, we finalized the films we believe are the most powerful in telling stories about our planet. This was made possible mostly because of a team of 46 individuals, which were mostly made up of students and professors, who since January have been viewing and marking all these films. The final collection was sent to a team of external judges, individuals from various countries. I feel so privileged to be a part of this festival, especially on the judging panel. Now, over to Emily.
Thank you. As young adults, over the last decade, we've grown up with an awareness about the environment, and as such, we're all incredibly passionate about this issue. The festival has both empowered and encouraged an exchange of voices from across the globe, and this is what we're delighted to be sharing with you today. Before we begin the screening of our films, we'd just like to announce that some of them have undergone minor edits due to time restrictions today. However, they were all shown in full from start to finish yesterday. The first film is called Before. It was directed by Arlo Jan Bayat, and he's 24 and he's from the Philippines. Thank you.
Tay, paano po? Tulungan ko na po kayo magbuhat. Kain ng mga anak. Wow! Ang sarap ng ulam! Ha? Sino po yung tay?
Thanks for the ride. What's up guys, it's your boy Kalis here. Welcome to another video. Today we're here on a tropical remote island. You guys won't believe how gorgeous this place is. Just look at the fine white sand around me and the crystal clear ocean. Oh wait, apparently we're not alone. Hi guys, come here. Don't be afraid. Come join me. Hello guys, I really had fun in this place, even just for a day. Come experience it in person and don't worry, the locals are very friendly here. Follow me for more adventures and see you on my next video. Ciao!
Paalam, kuya! Paalam!
Hala, kuya. Kuya, tingnan mo. Talo ka, kuya, nauna ako.
Hoy, mga bata, bawal na kayo dito ah. Magsiuwi na nga kayo. Mga malas sa negosyo.
Tara, Toto! Maghanap tayo ng pwedeng gamitin natin dito.
Kuya, gusto ko yun, no? Aray!
Hala, Toto! Sandali lang. Oo, yan. Okay na ba? Sige, uwi na tayo. Anong oras kaya makakauwi si tatay? Ha? Hoy, Toto!
Kanina ko pa kayo hinahanap. Saan ba kayo nagpupunta? Ano nangyari sa inyo? Ano nangyari kay Toto?
Nakaapak po siya ng bubog ko kanina. Nasaan po ba si tatay?
Sa bagong pinasukang trabaho pa ni anak. Tara, umuwi na tayo. Uuwi na rin ang tatay niyo maya-maya.
Kailan na sweldo mo? O, pakiayos muna lahat bago ka umuwi. Sige, bukas ulit.
Mano po, tatay? Tay, si Toto nga po pala, na-aksidente po kanina.
Ano nangyari? Toto anak, kamusta ka na? Kamusta na yung paa mo? Nay, ano bang nangyari?
Napalayo sila kasi mahal. Hindi ko na namalayan na nandoon na pala sila sa dulo. Nakita ko na lang ni buhat-buhat ni Andoy si Toto nung hanapin ko.
Sa susunod, mag-iingat na kayo ha. Wala palagi dito si tatay. O anak, gutom ka na ba?
Tay, wala na ba putulan nun dati?
Well, excellent. We hope you enjoyed the first film. Our next film that we're going to be showing is called Frontline, and now this is a short documentary-style film. It was shot in Canada by 21-year-old filmmaker Adelaide Berardi, and this is one of the films that has undergone some minor edits.
COP26.
COP26. We're just weeks away now from COP26.
COP stands for Conference of the Parties, and this will be the 26th. They are attended by heads of state, climate experts and campaigners, and their purpose is to produce an international response to the climate emergency.
But instead, it seems to have turned into some kind of opportunity for countries to negotiate loopholes and to avoid raising their ambition.
I'm getting starting to get cold. My name is Brian Champ. I go by he, him. I went to school for engineering, ended up doing computer programming. That's basically what I do for a living, but it's not what keeps me going, really. More recently, I've been involved in helping pull together a coalition called Climate Voice, which includes indigenous groups, labor groups, social justice groups, climate justice groups, and so on, and looking to broadly mobilize for real action on climate.
I'm Chloe C., and I use she, her pronouns. I am a student at the University of Toronto. I'm a third-year undergraduate student. I'm actually double majoring in neuroscience and health policy. It wasn't until 2020 when the pandemic hit and the BLM movement had their resurgence after George Floyd was murdered. That was the point when I was like, I need to get involved. I need to do something. I can't sit at home all day. And I tried to join as many organizations as I could.
So my name is Siegfried Hemming. I also go by Sig or Ziggy, whatever you feel like. He, they, allegedly. I'm sort of a constant piece of performance art. I like to think of myself that way. I think it's fun. So I'm a co-organizer with Fridays for Future Toronto. We're a youth led group, grassroots movement that was started by Greta Thunberg.
It's a bunch of youth from either high school or university, and we get together, we host rallies, marches, workshops, and our goal is just to uplift youth voices and marginalized voices and to get climate justice.
You know, the Glasgow conference, I mean, we have to remember back in the summer of 2021, basically we had the IPCC came out with a report that called Code Red for Humanity, basically saying we need to take drastic action as soon as possible if we hope to solve this crisis.
So we were approached by Brian Champ to join the new coalition that he wanted to start.
And everybody was eager to do something. And so I think it was just one of those things where it was beyond pastime for this kind of a coalition to come together.
While individuals can do what we can in our given socio-economic realities, it is not enough. We need our government to step up and take action now.
Because this is an important year, there would be a lot of media attention and hype around it. And also, I've been involved in previous COPs. And so I was able to talk about 4 main asks for the world leaders at COP26.
Global phase out of fossil fuels. We demand commitment to Canada's fair share at COP26. An end to all fossil fuel subsidies. No new fossil fuel development and infrastructure. No false solutions. And commitments to invest in energy efficiency and renewable energy.
Workers must have a seat at the table where climate action is being debated.
I think for workers, it's about how do we actually take people who are working in these bad, carbon-intensive jobs, how do we actually create an impetus from below in workplaces and so on that can actually challenge decisions that are made both in the workplace where workers are, but also like joining movements that can actually pressure for real programs for just transition.
I just wish more people understood that we're not fighting for ourselves, although of course we are that as well, but we're fighting for everyone, because that's really the issue here, is that every person is at the wrong end of the system right now.
Right now, I think the most pressing issue in so-called Canada is the continued attacks on Indigenous rights and Indigenous sovereignty. I am really disappointed by how little coverage some of those issues are getting.
I'm saying Skylar Williams from Six Nations in Mohawk, Wolfclan. I'm really grateful to be here today.
Particularly like the Coastal GasLink pipeline, which is a pipeline that the Wet'suwet'en Nation are opposing.
And so if you can't get boots on the ground out on the Inta, out in Wet'suwet'en, then you know you need to be on these streets, you need to be on those railroads, you need to be on every bit of colonial infrastructure that we can do to make sure that their voices are amplified.
Hello, my name is Logan Stotts. I'm a singer, songwriter, storyteller, Mohawk, Turtle Clan from Six Nations.
The song is 6 miles each side of the river, so the reference is to the Haldeman track.
You guys like my hat?
It's
okay. It's only okay.
Who wants to take care of B camera?
I got her.
Awesome.
Is this recording right now, girl? Come on.
Leeds documentary, bank protest, Slate Take 1.
6 miles each side of the river. 6
Our next film is a film from Russia, and it's called But What If It All Wouldn't Have Ever Happened? It's directed and produced by Elizaveta Motzaleva, who is 23, and this is an abstract animation about climate change and politics.
Hello world, what happened to you?
Have you ever heard of the effect of pink glasses? So, back then there were people who were wearing them. They called themselves dreamers. They were dreaming about a better future. They were seeking hope in those dark times. But all they could get were empty promises. People in power wanted these dreamers to be quiet. They wanted them really quiet. They took their voices. They caged the truth. Breathless and cornered dreamers suffocated as true was their air. Delusions and lies filled the air, and all living things began to perish. What a ridiculous joke! They said that forests can save us from the darkness, but they let it burn to the ground. The only thing that was left after a mad fire was a boundless wasteland full of dust. The darkness took away nourished lands and broke down an amazingly clever mechanism of life. They had everything to stop it, but they never did. They sacrificed the lungs of their kingdom. Darkness. They depended on it. Privileged ones. They mirrored in greed and vanity. They were looking into a false mirror. They thought that changing climate was an opportunity to gain even more than they already had. They thought that it could warm their lands, fill it with prosperity, but their truth stabbed their backs. The rising temperature cracked their frozen lands. The ice which was holding their kingdom turned out to be the viscous swamps. They sacrificed the spine. Soldiers of the broken system closed their eyes, fooled themselves. Dreamers tried to scream to war, but they decided to cut their wings. It was too terrifying to open up and listen. They chose the thorny path of lies and selfishness. They sacrificed lives. But what if it all wouldn't have ever happened? Where are we going? You choose.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those 3 films. We now have a 10-minute break where you can get snacks from outside. Just make sure to be back in 10 minutes for the next 3 films. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back. Though if you're not back in the room, I'm sorry. We're just gonna go on without you, if that's okay. So here's our second round of films. The first one is I Found the Sea from the Dump. This has been edited, but we did show it in full yesterday. This was directed by Utku Alak and Sengizan Atabolkan. I'm sorry if I butchered those names. 25, they're both 25 male as far as it said on the website, and they're from Turkey. Enjoy.
Ben de o videoyu bulamadım. Ben sana bir video gönderecektim esas. Ağı kaldırırken ağda balıktan başka aklına ne geliyorsa var. Aklına ne geliyorsa. 2 konteyner şey çıkardım ben. Plastik şişe. 2 konteyner. Çöp kovaları yok mu? Dışarıdaki çöp konteynerlerin içine. Teknenin.
Abi bu video var değil mi sende?
Olması lazım. Ben bir bakayım da onu bulursam sana göndereyim o videoyu ben.
Çok iyi olur abi.
teknenin kaldırırken özellikle şeyde hem de Talya Otel'in ön taraflarında içeride dediğim gibi bölgelerde yani.
Çok var ha.
Bir göreceğim yani o videoyu göndersen bir şey konuşmamıza gerek yok zaten. Yani bu röportajı yapmıyor olabilirdin yani onu görsen.
ليش له على البحر ليش له
Arkadaşı dedim kamyon girebiliyorsun tutalım ya daha rahat. Boşalt. Çekiyorsun sürekli çeksen. Ayakkabı o arkadaşı dedim kamyon girebiliyorsun tutalım ya daha rahat oluyor da yok da abi dedi su alıyor. Battaniye bile var. İçine yatırayım. Ben giriyorum. Tamam hocam top.
İnsan yoğunluğunun olduğu yerlerde kirlilik fazla olur. Özellikle akarsuların taşıdığı kirlilik bir köprü çayını, bir Aksu çayını, Manavgat çayını düşündüğümüz an çayda yerleşim alanlarının kenarlarındaki bütün atıklar yağışlarla beraber suya iner. O su tatlı su aracılığıyla da denize ulaşır. Bu tür yerlere baktığımızda kirliliğin daha fazla olduğunu görüyoruz. İnsanın yerleşim alanlarının yanında tahliye, örneğin Antalya'daki denize tahliye olan yerlerde kirlilik daha fazladır.
İnsanlar Karaoğlu Parkı'nın önünü görüyorsun değil mi? İnsanlar içtiği su şişesini aşağı atıyor, yok kola şişesini atıyor, eline ne geçtiyse denize atıyor yani orada çöp varken özellikle. Yani dikkat edersen yani tekneyle dolaşalım şöyle bir gidelim dersen bir bak ağaçların içindeki pet şişeleri denize düşenler saymıyor zaten. Genelde dışarıdan atılan atıklardan, teknelerden çok önceki kadar yok yani bayağı bir bilinçlenmiş insanlar. Teknelerde fazla yok. Dışarıdan gelenler ağırlıklı. Mesela şelalenin orada akan sulardan, insanların sahilden attığı pisliklerden. Dedim ya şişesini atıyor, sigarasını içiyor, şişe paketini denize atıyor. Lan dibinde çöp var zaten senin orada at onu. Veya al bir poşete koy git başka yere at yani. Bu gene Antalya Körfezi'nde çok mesela ağırlıklı. Şu an pek sakin havada bu göremezsin ama dediğim gibi fırtınalı havalarda sahillerde gezdiniz mi hiç fırtınadan sonra? Dolaştınız mı? Yani deniz artık istemiyor. Atıyor dışarıya. Ben istemiyorum diye atıyorum dışarıya. Ne olur bir 3-5 ay duruyor suda ondan sonra bir bakmış pet şişe dışarıda sadece sürüklenmeden. Mesela ben ahtapotlar yuva yapsın diye şeyleri pet şişeleri giriyor hayvan ölüyor içinde pet şişenin. Düşün yani. Mesleğe çıkamıyor hayvan. Şey yapamıyor.
Hani çok kirlenmenin olduğu yerlerde çöplerin arasında yüzmeye çalışan bir foku düşünün. Bir kaplumbağayı düşünün. Kaplumbağa ölümleri sık sık görülmeye başladı. Bunların ölen kaplumbağaların mideleri açıldığı zaman bunların çoğunun plastik atıkları, özellikle poşetleri deniz anası zannedip yediğini görüyoruz. Foklar, özellikle fokları düşündüğümüz zaman foklar genellikle mağaralara bırakır yavrularını. Siz buraları kirletirseniz o mağaranın olduğu yerde petrol atığı varsa, herhangi bir şey varsa o yavrular, o hayvan yavrusunu oraya bırakamaz. Bıraksa da o kirliliğin etkileriyle bu canlıların ölümleri olur. Dolayısıyla kirlenmenin etkileri bu şekilde. Dediğimiz gibi kaplumbağalar, foklar, deniz memelileri, özellikle balinaların, son zaman ölen balinaların mideleri açılıp bakıldığında çok büyük miktarda plastik atıkların olduğu görülüyor. Ayrıca mikroplastikler bu yüzyılın en büyük problemi. Sizin gözünüzün göremediği kadar küçük plastikler deniz içerisinde bol miktarda var. Dolayısıyla balığın etinde dahi bu mikroplastikler şu anda tespit ediliyor. Aktarımı insanlar en son. Yani en son tüketicilere bu balıklar üzerinden, o canlılar tüketenler üzerinden aktarıldı.
So that was I found the seat from the dump. Excuse me. Now we have Forest Flavors. This is directed by Rachel Preeb, I think that's how you pronounce it. A 24 female person, at least, maybe student, and from the US. Enjoy.
I think all the plants are alive. They are beings like us, life forms like us. I think they do have a form of intelligence. They just live on a different level than we are. You feel you're part of it. After a while you feel like you're so much part of it that you don't make that difference between I am a human being and you are a plant. You just forget who you are. You become part of the environment, which is really your place as a human being. It's truly like meditation. I wake up in the morning and it's actually the first thing I do. I go directly to my ferment. They're like my little children. And I just pick them up and I will check them. It's just like feel the pressure on it. I really like fermentation because it's a live process. I call that mountain syrup. So there's probably like 15 plants in it, and that represents the flavor and the smell of the mountains. And the flavor, it's so complex. It tastes like Christmas, like the mountain. It's unbelievable. And now I can show you the inside. This is juniper berries too, smoked oak bark. I mean, it's really a complex recipe. So that's probably like one of my favorite ingredients. I love that. I love using the bark. It's got incredible amount of flavor because there's hundreds of incredible aromatic compounds into oak bark. So even a dead tree has a flavor. You know, we're surrounded by flavor. Nobody's doing anything with it. So I'm taking it. And then pull gently. I'm like super interested to collect this one because it's really one of the most invasive one in Southern California locally. It's probably the most invasive one. Two, if you cook it properly, it's delicious. I like to make sauce with it, but I'm going to use every single part of it, including the root. I love that plant. So you can actually, this is interesting, you can actually love plants. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to call them evil, noxious or whatever. And you can still remove them from the environment with a lot of love. It smells green too, I love it. Completely unused as a resource. Probably one of the biggest food waste with mustard. You know, if you know the value of the environment, the value of the plant and how precious they are, there is no way you are going to pollute, there is no way you are going to destroy it, there is no way you are going to, you know, do anything bad to it. You want to work with it. You learn respect if you understand the plant. You become one with the forest. What I'm really trying to do is to try to figure out on how I can use my activity as a wildcrafter to actually benefit the environment. We are surrounded by food. Most of it is non-native, quote-unquote non-native and invasive, but locally either we're going to spray chemical or we're going to show up and throw everything away. Why are we throwing away the resource when you have people who cannot afford food in LA? So I'm really looking at those issues of food waste and try to find a positive solution. I'm trying to make food as part of the solution. And I know that I'm not making a dent, but what I'm doing is planting seeds in people's head.
So that was Forest Flavors. I hope you enjoyed. The final one of this section is Tell Me a Story. This was directed by J. Ann Dixon, a 24-year-old female from the UK. Enjoy.
So I'd like to start by saying congratulations to all our filmmakers that we've seen their films of so far, and we really hope that you've enjoyed them so far. We'd now like you to vote for the film that you've enjoyed most from those two sections. So you're now voting for one of the 6 films just screened to win the Audience Award, a £100 prize. The results are going to be announced shortly during our award ceremony. So please scan the QR code and access Mentimeter, and we should have a passcode up there. So you enter that passcode, and the following films are up for the Audience Award. So you have Before, Frontline, But What If It All Wouldn't Have Ever Happened, I Found the Sea from the Dump, Forest Flavors, and Tell Me a Story. So we'll have a 5-minute break while you do the voting, and then we'll move on to our award ceremony. Yeah. And so that last film that we just watched, Tell Me a Story, was completely generated by AI as well, which we found interesting.
We're now going to screen our award-winning films. The first screening is the Special Mention Award, and this went to Saving Little John. It's by Mary Fenton from the UK. She's 24, and it's a documentary-style film about the importance of conservation. I hope you enjoy it.
Deep in the heart of the Australian bush, far below the canopy and moonlit sky, in the safety of darkness, hidden from predators, there are those who roam the night. Concealed from view, the frogs at the Wadigan Mountains emerge. Below the grass and on the forest floor, a juvenile Little John's tree frog in search of a meal. But why walk when food can come to you? It can be a long waiting game. Their large eyes allow excellent night vision, sensitive to the slightest movement. He waits. Then with his powerful legs, he propels himself at his prey. Every few days, this juvenile must feed to develop into a fully grown male. In the grass at the water's edge, another young male is on a mission to set up his own territory. Jumping and climbing through the leaves, he takes his time being selective in his search. But there's competition. In the form of an older, larger male. So his search continues, for that would be a fight he would not win. But at the pond, a rival male isn't their biggest threat. For in these waters, invisible to all, hides a deadly disease. The frogs are at serious risk from the very water that sustains their lives.
Chytrid fungus kills the frogs. It changes the balance of the solutes in the frog's blood and fluids in its body, which leads to a heart attack, essentially. Any frog that comes to the pond or the stream where there's a chytrid infection can become infected on their skin.
This life-threatening fungus has caused the decline of over 500 species of amphibian worldwide, with 90 known species going extinct. Their life here at this pond is at risk. Further south, in the Blue Mountains, there is another fatal threat for the Little John's tree frog. The landscape has been transformed by raging bushfires, leaving behind vast areas of burnt forest.
Well, the forest fires affected Little John's frog significantly. So they just burnt large tracts of forest right to the ground. The fires were severe and intense, and that simply destroyed the trees and the shrubs where the frogs live next to the stream. And they burnt with high temperatures, above 800 degrees centigrade. 80% of the population had been decimated, and the frogs were only in half of the sites where we used to know them.
Flames consumed approximately 5 million hectares within a year. This fragile ecosystem was destroyed. Frogs perished as their habitats burnt, and evaporated ponds left remaining tadpoles to suffocate and die. Throughout Australia, the return of the La Niña rain fills the ponds and brings life back to the bush. A male starts to call. Shortly after, more join, creating a loud chorus to vie for a female's attention. A female hears this ensemble of calls and sets off towards the loudest voice, for this is likely to be the strongest male. But for the Little John's tree frog, the loudest voice is not always the best.
Because Little John's frog is in small populations, some of those populations are down to less than 50 or 100 adult frogs. Once populations get so small, there's a lot of inbreeding. Inbreeding leads to a loss of genetic diversity and abnormality. So the frog's on a slippery slope once its population becomes very small.
Unaware, the female continues to lay her eggs on overhanging vegetation, allowing the male to fertilize them. The health and success of these eggs will remain unknown. Researchers at the University of Newcastle are now seeking the help of citizen scientists in an attempt to save this endangered species. In order to do this, they set up acoustic data loggers to record calling males to locate the remaining colonies. At inhabited ponds, scientists are collecting eggs and tadpoles to head start the individuals.
Head starting is a process of reducing the environmental pressures on the very young stage of Little John's tree frog. We will raise them from eggs to tadpoles in captivity, and when they're juveniles, we will release them back into the wild, hopefully having a higher rate of survival.
As the sun sets, the scientists are in the field on the search for males and females to establish a captive breeding colony.
The process of captive breeding for Little John's tree frog is to take a male from one area and a female from another one and put them together to create eggs. We hope our captive breeding program will not only establish an insurance colony of Latoria littlejohni, but actually allow us to increase the genetic diversity of populations across New South Wales.
These released juveniles have a better chance of survival to adulthood and will ensure the genetic diversity for generations to come. Back in the lab, Dr. Rose Upton is tasked with securing the future for the Little John's tree frog.
What we've seen with Little John's tree frog is quite a rapid decline, and with things like bushfires getting worse and worse every year, it's really important for us to consider collecting sperm for a biobank well before disaster strikes. When we cryopreserve sperm cells from amphibians, we need to start with the collection of the sperm. For amphibians, this involves a hormone injection to the frog so that it releases sperm in urine. Once we have that sperm, we can go through the process of cryopreserving it, which involves adding a cryoprotectant, which is a solution we use to protect the cell at cold temperatures. Once we've added the cryoprotectant to the sperm cells, we can actually freeze it, and this can be done in a lab with a controlled rate freezer. What this does is bring the cell down to minus 80 degrees Celsius, at which point we can plunge it into liquid nitrogen. Once the sperm cells are in that state, they theoretically can be held like that indefinitely. The hopes for the future are that if this frog species were to go extinct, that we could use that sperm as an insurance policy to bring that species back. And hopefully it can help the species conservation before it gets to the point of extinction.
Only time will tell the future of this species. But despite the many threats, and with a bit of help, the Little John's tree frog has every fighting chance.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed that. We now have our second special mention award. This is Send Kelp, which was directed by Sophie Ann Lamb. She's 23 and from the UK. I think she's in Scotland. Yeah? Edinburgh, sorry. Edinburgh, I always said that. It's an animated short. I hope you enjoy.
Logging on to the Ocean Explorer, mission number 1. Here I am on the coast, ready to discover the creatures beneath the sea. Where are all you creatures hiding? Shh! Calling for mission backup. Huh? I'm going to name you Scout. You're amazing. Grey seals like you can stay underwater for around 45 minutes and dive up to 300 meters. That's the length of the tallest building in London. Also, your big eyes and sensitive hearing makes you excellent at hunting. Going to adventure through the underwater world. First, we must go through the kelp forest. You know, Scout, kelp is very good for our planet. There are the underwater trees, absorbing lots and lots of harmful carbon dioxide. Kelp has to have sunlight for survival. They grow in shallow waters where sunlight can reach the seabed. My book says UK is home to 7 kelp species. Here we have oarweed, cuvee, sugar kelp, and dabberlocks. It's okay, Scout. The sharks we have in the UK aren't scary. They're beautiful. Look. Plus, they need all the help they can get. They're becoming more and more endangered. We are now going to somewhere even more magic. The seagrass plains. Okay, Scout, we have to go now.
So we now have the results from our audience award. Your votes today have been combined with the audience's votes from yesterday's event. And our winner of the Audience Award is Before, directed by Arlo John Bayot. And now finally, we're about to announce our Best Film Jury Award, and the winner goes to Into Being, directed by Ben Sinclair, 23, and this is a short animation.
In isolation, we do not feel as if we really exist all the way.
Now in terms of climate change, scientists across the world now assume that it is urgent that if we continue to push the global temperature to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, wildfires like the ones we see in Europe this year will become more frequent, more deadly, and will appear in more parts of the world. The latest IPCC report shows that countries have been failing to commit to their emission targets, and so risk climate catastrophe if drastic reductions. Australia saw its most destructive heat wave. In the summer of 2022, devastating.
When we cut ourselves off from any aspect of nature, other people, we create a wound, we create a cutoff. And this is painful. If you condition everything on some notion of bigness defined by whatever metrics, then you're going to skip over all of the small things. None of them on their own actually make sense. What does it matter? One bottle difference. It's still happening whether or not I contribute to it. What difference does it make? No, I'm just subtracting one plastic bottle from an enormous trash heap. In the story of separation, there's no good answer for that. So we have to have another reason besides some conception of bigness. Not because I've done some calculation that this is going to save the world, but because it's a different kind of relationship with the beings around me. Interbeing is more of an understanding that we are a relationship, that my very existence depends or draws from or includes your existence. In the story of Interbeing, the future of humanity is to return to that relationship to nature and to all beings and to all human beings too. To fall in love with the world. Its well-being is my well-being.
Wow, so I hope everyone really enjoyed all of those films. And I'm just going to talk a bit now about Keele University and how we're kind of embedding sustainability in everything that we do. And I'm on behalf of Powers, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but I'm Alana Wheat, so the Sustainability Engagement Officer at Keele. And I'm just here to talk all about things. So let me just turn on the thing, and hopefully it'll work. So something that we're studying at Keele at the moment is this idea around environmental storytelling, and this is really where the Earth Stories Film Festival came about. So Keele was awarded Global Sustainability Institution of the Year in 2021. So So that is internationally, and we were recognised for all the work that we're doing around sustainability and helping to embed it across the curriculum, making it more energy and sustainable, and just hoping to inspire future generations and our current students as well. So we've had this green timeline since around 2008 when we adopted this deep green idea and philosophy. And then since then, lots of things have taken place. And in particular, in 2018, the Institute for Sustainable Futures was created. And that helped all of the research and things like this today. And also a lot of thanks to kind of our alumni and things like that who helped make these things possible. Okay, so a bit more on the Institute for Sustainable Futures. We have lots of key themes around sustainability, and one of those in particular is the idea of communicating sustainability. And this is really where these earth stories and things like that come into it. But we obviously also concentrate on things like health and energy, food security, and it's much broader than just communicating sustainability. So something that Powers wanted to really bring attention to is that this idea of stories and telling stories around Earth is becoming more and more important when we communicate sustainability. Because if we just tell people about the facts or scare people with scary images and things like that, you will just turn off and switch off, and it won't be anything that you can take away with you. So this is where bringing in these everyday stories and these real stories into the conversation really brings people's attention to things and gives them more deep actions that they can take part of. So Rebecca Solnit, who released this article in January 2023, says about that every crisis is in part a storytelling crisis. This is as true of the climate chaos as anything else. We are hemmed in by stories that prevent us from seeing or believing in or acting on the possibilities for change. In order to do what the climate crisis demands of us, we have to find stories of livable futures, stories of popular power, stories that motivate people to do what it takes to make the world what we need it to be. Okay? And there's also a really great book by Robin Wall Kimmerer called Braiding Sweetgrass, which is all about that idea of whose stories are we telling? Are we telling the same stories over and over again? Or we need to really branch out and tell lots of different stories. So as you've seen by the films that we've seen today, they're from all over the world, and that's exactly what we need to hear. Because we can be just isolated in our bubbles, in our social media lives, or just what you hear around in the local area. So it's really about branching out and finding more about the world and what other people are doing. So some of the things that Keele are doing research-wise around sustainability, and we've got lots of different projects that are taking place, such as creating new and transformative film narratives around urban air pollution in India. So that's something that Powers is working on with colleagues. Then we've got things like the Restoring Riverscapes project, which is to do with the north of the Staffordshire County, so the River Churnet. So for those of you who might not know, we've got pollution in the River Churnet, and it was once declared the most polluted river in the whole of Europe. So it's seeing how that environmental impact has impacted the lives of the people that live there, and how it continues to impact the lives of the people who now live in the global south and where those textile industries have moved to. But we've also got projects like Zero Carbon Rugeley and also Creative Decommissioning, which is about that change in our energy systems. And then we've got workshops such as the Proverbial Wisdom, so looking at how these ideas of proverbs from the global south in particular can give us that perspective of storytelling via sustainability. And then also a new project on sustainability and music production as well. And these last two are funded by the Institute for Sustainable Futures Seed Fund too, which is a really great opportunity. And then we've also got research that's taking place, environmental storytelling that's taking place within our education. So there's the great interdisciplinary field-based environmental storytelling project, which is taking place with Winbury Moss, which is just on the border of Cheshire and Staffordshire. And then also at Keele University itself, where students can go along and have a look at how the mosses and the environment makes them feel and what they get from it, those local experiences, so that, again, that storytelling side of things. And there's also modules such as the new environmental communication modules for undergraduates and postgraduates as well. And then there's a community of practice where staff are able to come along and find out more about how each other are engaging with sustainability from across the entirety of the university. So whether that's medicine or media or English and things like that, and we can all talk to each other and help to share how we embed sustainability in everything that we do.
And then also the documentary module for this year is focused on ecotopias and the idea of hopeful environmental futures. And fingers crossed these films will be able to be shown at the next year's Stories Film Festival as well. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for that. And I really hope you feel a lot more conscious around sustainability and the different ways that you can embed sustainability in all that you do. And hopefully you feel inspired and you'll be able to take something away from this event today. So next I'd just like to introduce the Kiel Student Film Award, which has been won by Amy Glassbrook, and the film is called Get Away From It All.
So I'd like to end by thanking you all for coming today, both joining in person and on our live stream. We're really grateful for your time, and it's been really special for us to see the results of our hard work. We're really passionate about this festival, and we hope that you've experienced some of that today. We hope you've been as inspired as we were by these wonderful stories from all around the world, and we hope you've learned something about we hope you've learned something new about how young people are making a contribution to sustainable futures and combating the climate crisis. Your support really has been wonderful, and we thank you all. Could we please have one final round of applause for our award winners? We hope you leave today feeling uplifted and inspired by these stories, and we really hope to see you all next year. Thank you.